So the dispenser is just an automatic dispenser. It's a little different than normally what you would use, and you put it on you. Wipes it nice. Of course, it's a cold day, so it's not absorbing. It's an SPF 50. Paul Osborne, I'm the Deputy Highway Superintendent for Genesee County. I oversee the parks and recreation and facilities for the county.
My name's Lori Thornley, and my title is Healthy Living Manager at UMMC.
My name is Gian Vanelli. I'm a dermatologist and also a skin cancer surgeon, specifically what's called a Mohs surgeon. So I mainly treat skin cancer.
Well, the program that we implemented here is a Sunscreen program. We've collaborated with Healthy Living, the Rochester Regional Health community, to provide an opportunity for the general public to apply sunscreen while they're here in the park. It's kind of a pilot program. We wanted to test it out and see if the use would be there, but also to provide another service to the community.
We learned about grant funding supporting implementation of local efforts to help address the New York State Cancer Control Program, which basically is an effort to reduce cancer within communities across the United States and particularly New York State. There were several options that were given as projects. Some were education, some were activities, and I know Paul and I have talked about different ways that we can work together, being Healthy Living and the Parks program, through some type of projects that would help the community. And this project seemed like a good fit. It seemed timely. Summer coming, summer months, so one of those projects was sunscreen dispensers being placed throughout a park in the county.
So we put 5 dispensers in at key locations. There's 2 at one of each of the bathrooms. There's one when you enter in at the south entrance parking lot. There's one down by the 3-tiered fishing platform, and then also where you enter in on the back side of the lake, where our kiosk is there off of Route 5 on the Ellicott Trail.
If you forget your sunscreen, or maybe you don't plan on being at the park that day, this gives an option to people to either remind them that they forgot their sunscreen or give them the ability to use it while they're here.
What are the risk factors for skin cancer? You know, the main thing is really sun damage. And so that's something that we get throughout our entire lifetime, and it kind of builds up. And most of us typically have had sunburns before, and even just one sunburn will increase your risk dramatically. So the fact that we're having these dispensers here is an amazing program. You know, the biggest problem typically with sunscreen is that not only do we not apply enough, but people don't reapply. And so if they do forget to bring their sunscreen or they run out, the fact that this are so available is amazing. And I think it'll make a great stride towards helping people use more sunscreen in the appropriate amount. People often think the SPF accounts to a number of time. It's actually not. So SPF 30 is about 97% effective in terms of blocking UV radiation, whereas a 50 is about 98%. So as you go up, when people often like, oh, I want to get the 120 or the 100, it doesn't make much of a difference. That's about 99%. But the American Association of Dermatology really recommends that, if you're going to be outside for a few hours, to get a 50, which is why this is perfect.
So sunscreen is just one way that people can protect themselves from sun damage and the risk of sun damage and skin cancers. So it's one piece to that part. There are other things people can do, but if they use sunscreen on a daily basis, it is helpful in protecting from UV rays that can increase their risk for skin cancer.
Sunscreen can be a little bit expensive, especially if you have a family of 3, 4, 5 people, and you're having to put on every 2 hours like you're supposed to, and you're slathering up every kid. You can be going through a lot of sunscreen. You're typically supposed to use about 1 ounce of sunscreen per application. Most of these bottles are 2, 3, 4 ounces. So that might just be one bottle is, one kid for one day, at which point that can be definitely add up. So I think this is an amazing program.
It's kind of a convenience thing most of the time. When we witness people using the park, especially if they have young kids, they'll have their sunscreen with them. But it's a great reminder for anybody that just comes in, and we get a lot of lunch people. We also have programs here for the parks themselves, and a lot of times the parents don't send in the sunscreen with them. In fact, we just had 2 kayak programs yesterday and the day before. and they brought some lunch, but they didn't bring any sunscreen, so we actually put them up yesterday, and they were using them yesterday, so it worked out really great for us.
It reminds me when I grew up in Florida, and I feel like my worst sunburns were when I was go out to the beach on a day like today, and I was like, this is perfect, did not put sunscreen on, and you just burned to a crisp. So about 80% of the UV rays will pass through the clouds, and so you will get a terrible burn often on days that are cloudy because people don't think about putting sunscreen on because it feels so cool. Especially up here in Rochester, you can get a really bad sunburn when it's the dead of winter, and so it doesn't really matter about the ambient temperature. If it's daytime, you're risking sun damage and a bad burn. So yeah, really important to make sure you always put on enough. So it's one of the biggest problems that people often don't do is put on enough sunscreen. The fact this is SPF 50 is great. That's really what we recommend the most. Really the goal should be at least a 30, but preferably a 50. This actually goes on for a mineral-based sunscreen. This is fantastic. Often it can be a little bit difficult to rub in, but definitely don't forget the ears. And if you can't wear a sunscreen, always wear a hat.